during that time, you came out against some of the biggest heavyweights of all time. You came out against, Mike, like the Mike. You came out against Prince. People that go by one name. When you got one name, it's like rough. Like Prince. Yeah. And you stood right next to him. So now
you did
that pressure to stand there, because I'm just being honest. I don't know who influenced who, because I saw you with the suit on. I saw you with the suit. And you were showing the socks. So I don't know.
He had did you see on the video? He had the little bop like this. Yeah, I saw it.
I don't know who came first.
I'll give you a little story with that. I did a show with Michael Jackson in England, and playing at Wembley Stadium.
Woo!
And
man.
Backstage, so he asked one of his people to come and knock at the door and ask if I was there. He wanted to meet me. So I went to meet him, and we stood up, and he was saying, "Man, I love," Mommy used to say, "and I even stole some of your moves." So I laughed, and I said to him, I laughed, and I said,
"You heard it on KROSS BARZ."
You did what? I said to him, I laughed. No, I laughed, and I just said, "Yeah, you did what?" And he laughed, and he said, "Yeah, man, I stole some of your moves." It was all good, though.
Bars. I love that.
Hey, welcome to KROSS BARZ, the podcast where we discuss interesting topics with alternative perspectives. I'm your co-host, Big O. I have with me.
Hey, I'm Tanae. I'm back in the building one more time with our international guest for KROSS BARZ. Give it up, give it up, give it up for Mr. Junior Giscombe. Give it up, give it up, give it up.
Hey.
Woohoo! Love it, love it, love it. We're excited for you on KROSS BARZ today, man. Wow. I love it.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right, this is awesome. So, back in the day, all right, you had a smash hit. Is that you go by your whole name or just your first name?
Just my first name, Junior.
Junior. All right. Is that your actual name or is that the nickname your family gave?
That was the one that they gave me in the family. My original name, they only used up until about, I think I was around about 10. After 10, it was always Junior. I didn't know anything else.
Okay.
But it was like Norman or something. Isn't your name Norman?
That's right.
Right.
Norman
it's like
was
Norman
my original name.
Yes.
But you go through that whole school system, right? So the school system, it's Norman. And then you get to that age whereby Norman kind of like runs out and everybody's Junior, and somebody says, "No, Norman." And he says, "No, Junior." Like, Junior became the name.
Got you. Because I was just thinking, like, when you walk up to a lady, like, "Hey, my name is Norman." You're like, or you say, "Nah, I'm Junior." Like, that's literally.
You see, you touched on a note there now, because you see, Mama used to say, the reason that song came around was I used to work in a shoe shop doing shoes and fixing shoes, heels. Well, they called it a heel bar. But I started out doing handmade. Yeah, I started out doing handmade shoes, and it wasn't making any money. So I went into heel bar shoes, which was making me money. So this young lady walks in, and she was the bomb.
Okay.
So I started talking to her, right? And I'm talking to this girl, and she says to me she's 18. Now I'm 22, and I'm thinking if I tell her I'm 22, she may feel I'm too old. So I dropped my age to 20, and I got the dinner date. So I went home and I told my mum, and that's how the whole song started. Take your time, young man.
Take your
time. Don't you rush old.
Wow.
That's right.
Everything came from that one conversation.
I thought it would be the opposite. Like, you might have been 16, 15, and you seen a girl, and he's like, what's your young stuff now? I'm 19, but you really 16. Because, I I've done that in the
think I
past
did that
before.
with, what song was that? I think it was a song on the first album where I came from exactly that same point of view there that you just had, right? Let Me Know, the song was called. And it was that kind of point of view, but with Mama, it was really that. What she said to me, she'd been saying it, you know, like when you're a kid and you're moving too fast,
Right.
and
Too
you
fast.
want to be this and you want to do that, and you're running with kids who are older than you, who can do that and who can do this, but you can't. You still have to be home at a certain time.
When
You still have
right.
to make sure you wash your hands, and you still have to make sure that, like, if you came in from school, you take off your school clothes, you hang up your school clothes. So I came from that kind of disciplinarian kind of household, you know.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I wasn't able to run. And then when my brother's being the youngest, and I did get to run, boy, did I run.
Oh, boy, you better.
Right.
Okay.
And I think it was several of you guys out with your brothers and sisters. I think it said you're part of an eight sibling.
That's right. That's
What number
right.
are you?
I'm the youngest. I'm number
You're
8.
number 8. Oh, wow.
So I had
Number-
the good fortune of being able to watch the others and see what they were
Right.
doing and how their life was running. And
Okay.
you know, we're living in a different time. This was Great Britain, England, South London, which was very racist. So I was watching what my brothers and sisters had to go through just to get by, and how they really showed me how to maneuver, how to get in, what to do, how to perceive certain narratives that were given to me that weren't true. So my brothers were great for me. And my sisters were very much, because I was the youngest brother, it was like, you know, the one up from me always felt that she could beat me up, and we would always fight.
That's right.
You know?
Girl power.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know. It's like, you know, what was that, 5 girls and, you know, 3 boys. So you had to stand your ground. You know,
absolutely.
and I'm the baby. I had to stand my ground. So my brothers taught me how to, you know, come on, when they come, you ready?
Okay. So where are you originally from?
I was born in England, but my parents came from Jamaica.
Oh, okay. What part of Jamaica?
My mother came from Kingston and my father came from St. Mary's.
Oh, city boy. City boy. Okay, got you. I love Jamaica. Oh, I've been there several times.
Love Jamaica.
Every time I go there, I say, I don't
you know,
know.
when you have the food and
yeah.
you know, it's like a spiritual home.
Man, yes.
You know what I'm
is.
saying? For me, it's very much that, you know, I feel more at home when I'm in Jamaica than I do when I'm anywhere else in the world. You know, you just have some places that you just connect with. And Jamaica is that place for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So now growing up, it's 8 of you, you know, what made your parents transition and say, you know, we have to go to England and raise our children versus staying in Jamaica?
I think with both of them, my father went to America and just after the Second World War, and he worked, can't remember where it was. I think it was in Texas. He was in Texas for about 9 months, and he loved America. But he came back to Jamaica and he couldn't get a job. He had, 3, 4 kids at that time, and things were very, very tough. So my grandmother gave him the money to be able to come to England. And then when he came, he sent for my mum. And my mum came, and then they sent for the children. So all of my brothers and sisters were all born in Jamaica. I was the only one who was born in England.
Okay.
So, okay.
Again, that was a completely different kind of scenario, because now your siblings and everybody else is speaking Jamaican, but if you speak Jamaican, everybody gets up in uproar. You have to speak the Queen's English, because you're English, you're born here. So everybody in the house would speak Jamaican, right?
Patois.
Yeah, everybody I chat to, you know what I mean? I go out with it, same way, right?
Yeah.
If I came with that, if I dropped that, I'd get hey boy, what's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah. Speak English. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. Everything's all right.
He
Good.
said, no problem.
Well,
No problem.
no problem.
I'll do it.
Man, but you know, it's interesting you say that because you know, thinking that you know your whole family Jamaican, I know that you guys would be proud, but trying to assimilate and say no,
Yeah.
you gotta assimilate. That's kind of tough because I know,
Listen,
you know, yeah, that's
so
different.
you're under heavy pressure in your own home, right?
Yeah.
So
For
when
sure.
when my siblings now starting to go out into the world and I'm able to watch and see, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do a 9 to 5 job. I don't want to have somebody tell me to get up at this time and tell me what time or whether I can go to have a holiday or whether I didn't want that for my life. And I saw all of my brothers and
Right.
sisters get good jobs, and all of them have done very well going along with even their own businesses, right? But they were still beholden to someone, and I didn't want that. So when I got to 16, my mum and dad called me in to have a chat with me. You know, what did I want to do? How was I going to progress? And I turned and I told my mum and dad that, like, you know, I want to eat chicken when I want to eat chicken. I want to eat pork when I want to eat pork. I want to eat beef when I want to eat beef. I want to do what I want to do. And the both of them sat down and laughed. 8 years later, my mum came and reminded me of what I said as a 16-year-old. Right? Well, you got it now. You can eat pork when you want. You can eat chicken when you want.
Now you can.
Yeah, now you can.
Wow.
So now you're born in England and you have to speak the Queen's language. Okay, so what part of England did you grow up in?
I grew up in a place called Clapham, which is in a bigger area called South London.
South London. Okay.
Now, where I lived was around the corner, really, about a 10-minute walk to a place called Brixton, which was for South London. That was like the black area, right?
Gotcha.
That was where we pretty much was very dense in that area. And then I would say, yeah, that was where I came from, which was like the South Side was very much black, and where I was very much white. So I lived in a very conservative white area, right, of South London. There was only 2 black families on the road that I lived on. And the police station was 3 doors away. So the police knew us. It wasn't like if we were somebody that they didn't know. Back in those days, the police used to, if my mum and dad had a party, the police would come by and sit down in the back and have a drink, right? And we would be able to play music all night long. They would eat curry goat, rice and peas, chicken, rice.
Wow. That sounds like America.
Yeah, you know,
got this section over here, and you got this section over
that
here.
section over there. Yeah, it wasn't any different, really, in that regard. You know, you had your very conservative white people, right? You had the people who were working and grafting, as we call it, down in Brixton, down in Lewisham, down in the whole of that South area where, as I said, where I was brought up and came through from. But it was like, because the school that I went to, again, amalgamated. So there was more, I was in an area which was predominantly white. So all of a sudden we had schools that were taking in black kids. So the area was now becoming more multiracial. People were more mixing in during this period of time, which was around about, I would say, when I was about 14, 15. So people were now beginning to move into this whole as one before they came up with terms like multiracial, right? Because of how the school systems were going, we were multiracial. Okay. So you get what I'm saying? It was a term that's been given to that movement, if you like, but it wasn't a movement. It was just a matter of circumstances in the country at the time. They wanted children to go to what they called secondary modern schools. And secondary modern schools would take in more pupils. So If you were going to a school where you had maybe like 22 pupils, they now wanted a classroom of 34 or 36.
Gotcha.
Right? Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
you
I
had
do.
to build the schools, amalgamate them. So this whole thing was happening during that period of time, that mixture of culture, the beginning of understanding people from different places, because you wasn't getting that in any history lesson that you went to in an English class. So we were learning from one another. You would have an Asian guy and you'd understand where he's coming from. You'd have a Muslim guy and you'd understand him. You'd have a Christian guy and so we were working that out between ourselves because the history that we were being given didn't reflect anything that we were coming from.
Okay,
Gotcha.
and that's super awesome that you learn from one another. However, because of the time period, was there like turmoil? Because my only understanding of like, you know, the Black experience come from movies. I'm sad to say I've never been to England, and I always wondered because, you know, the first time I seen, you know, I forget, was it they call it summer houses, and on the movie, and it was like, yo, London has a hood, and I was like, what? No, they got
I watch all the hood movies, the London hood movies on Netflix. They got bad boys in London, right?
They was like, nah, you know, and
then gangster down there.
Gangster. They said,
it was.
No, and they were talking real hard, like, you can't be over here selling food. And I was like, what is food? And they were talking about, they were serious with it. And I was like, you know, and it's always, you know, good when you come from an area and you look and say, man, they just like us. But on the same time, it always have a distinct flavor. And what you're saying is like,
it's like vice versa. I show you something vice versa. Before I came to America, everything that I saw was on TV.
Yeah.
So when I first came to America, I came there in 1979, in 1980. And when I first came to America, right, what I saw of New York wasn't what I saw on TV. I had no idea that people lived like that. I had no idea what sufferation and what kind of pressure people were put under, right?
Yeah, in the 80s.
I was in Flatbush. You understand?
Oh, Jamaica. Oh,
all right, I'm going round to the Bronx. Right? You understand? Right? So I'm looking and I'm observing something which is completely alien to me. Because you get what I'm saying? That whole, when you, just like America, where you have I went into a shop and an Italian guy said to me, where you from? So I said, England. So they said, no, where you from? So I smiled and I said, my parents are Jamaican, but I'm an African. So he said, I'm an Italian. Now, I said, how many generations are you? He said, 3. So I said, but you're still white. I said, you're still white? And he laughed. He said, I'm an Italian. What can I say?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Yeah, so you came from a very diverse neighborhood. Then you come to New York, probably the most diverse place in the world. However, you ended up in Brooklyn, which is, I think, home to every other Jamaican that is not in Jamaica. You know, like, and even if you wasn't Jamaican, you're calling yourself Jamaican. I don't care.
Come on.
Yeah. Because some of them, they was Jamaican. They was really Jamaican out there.
Jamaican.
You know, yeah.
Loads of them. Loads of them.
Yeah. So it was beautiful. So now you're in America, but when you said you came in 78, 79, so that's right there in the precipice of the rap music coming, budding.
Everything.
Right. And then you know, rap
right
sounds
at the gateway. It was right at the gateway.
Disco was ending.
Yeah.
That's right. Remember, right? Everybody was still having like the skating and stuff like this. Remember, people used to still go to skating rings.
Right.
Or else. You still had that going, but it was beginning to shift.
Yeah.
Everything was beginning to shift. I would go to Washington. They have a hand that comes out of the ground. They call it the awakening.
Okay.
And this is down in Washington, D.C. And at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, there would be all of these cars that would come around and they'd park up, and all you would hear was hip hop.
Yeah.
Everything was around hip hop. You know, I went to
I
Philly.
love that.
I went to a party in Philly, and you know, they were playing like the disco stuff, and then they dropped the hip hop, and the place just went mad. And it was that time. Really, it was just, to be honest, it was really an exciting time to be able to go to various cities and get the vibe of people and the music. You know, when Washington and Go-Go was coming in, and you know, remember that?
Yeah. And you're saying all those things, and so you have a lot of influences, you know, in your music, and you've combined that. Like, I think you had some things with Teddy Riley or something. You had some interaction with Teddy Riley.
Yeah. And Is It Good to You? Right? Remember that song? Right? That's something that myself and Bob Carter wrote. We did Mommy Used to Say and stuff. And Teddy edited that and used that for that song. Right? There's been so many things that various other producers have taken from Mama Used to Say or something else that you've done and incorporated it within their music. So it's, you know, so it's in a journey. You realize that, like, hold on.
Sure. Yeah, because on your song, I think it's one of your songs, you had a clip of Tupac, and he's you know, rapping over, you know, the beats and stuff when you were singing. Too Late. Yeah, Tupac on there. And one thing I want to say about that, just something about you, like when you sing your music, it's not just singing, like you have a lot of rhythm. And when you're singing and I'm watching you and you're performing, like you're all in, you're like 100%, you know, in the game, and your body's moving and you just get the crowd. And even watching the videos, you know, now you have so much energy and it's so good. Like it makes you want to dance. And I just wanted to say that to you, that you and to me, you know, encompass just rhythm. Like that's who you are. You know how people are singers and people are writers. You know, I think the little bit of Jamaican might be popping up in there somewhere because the rhythm, it's the rhythm that you do. Even a long time ago, you know, when on the Mama Used to Say video, you were jamming, you know, and I want to talk about videos on that. At that time, that video to me was like 3D, you know, because it was kind of cartoon-like, but it was different because you had, the couch was like drawn in, but you were sitting on it. And I'm like, how is he sitting on it? And then the steps came and you were like chilling on the steps. And so just tell me a little bit about that particular, you know, video. Like, do you remember how you guys made that? How did that happen?
That came about from meeting a guy called Keith McMillan. He was a budding video producer and quirky as hell. But he had this idea of using what they called at that time green screen, which you now have today is white screen, blue screen. But he was the very first person to use green screen. And he came up with this whole idea of me not being able to see what I'm in as a picture. Only and the people who are watching can see the picture. So they're going to direct me in terms of, you're at a window, push the window open. You're at you have a rose. You know, this time it's like a candle. You have a rose.
Right. It was so good.
Rose. And then we had a bench, 3 layers, and that's where you saw the steps. I go up the steps and I sit down. That was on these 3 pillars. It was one of the most exciting experiences I've ever had, because you're playing to something that you don't see. You can only imagine. So you're supposed to be dancing down a street. There is no street. There's just this, whatever it is.
It's space.
You know, right? And that's all it is. You see, but when you come back and you're able, they show you what you've done. And you get the picture. That's when we said, like, you know, I said, like, why don't we have a bath? And everybody's like, what? And I'm like, put a bath there and then put some bubbles in.
Yeah, you
And I'll
really.
do the check out stuff. And everybody's like, yeah, he's getting it now. We just went, wow. We went, wow. That video,
Wow.
That was cool.
video
That was cool.
so much fun. So much fun. But it was
That was cool.
a
Very innovative for that time.
yeah, he was a very innovative individual. You know, he went on to do some amazing videos and amazing stuff after that, you know, but he was the first, you know, and it was a pleasure and an honor really to be able to be the first to use that kind of technology. It was brilliant.
Okay, so during that time period, there was a group and they came out with a very controversial song. Did you feel any backlash because they were kids and they were pretty young? It was called Pass the Dutchie. All right, yeah. Yeah, so all of us, you know, English that didn't know what it meant was singing that little song, little kids and everything.
I mean, come on. They were kids and they you know, they were hearing certain music.
Yeah.
They were clever enough.
Yeah.
To switch the vital things that they needed to switch.
Yeah, so
Pass the Duchess.
Yes, because they were the ones that kind of like, you know, introduced like reggae per se to the mainstream.
They would, I mean, they, like all of us really,
Yeah.
we were listening to, you would say Toots and the Maytals, you'd say Bob Marley, you'd be listening to John Holt, you'd be listening to Dennis Brown. So their parents would have been listening to that kind of music, right? And going to having, because they come from Birmingham, which is outside of London. This is now going into a place called the Midlands. So they would have been sound systems, right, that was going around the country still playing Jamaican music, reggae music. You know, you'd have a hall and they would rent the hall. People would come out to the hall just to hear the sound, right? You know, the sound system play the music. So that was still very big during the time of their mothers and fathers who were still going out. We just said, the Maga dance, you know, the Maga boogie, the Maga blues. Right? And that's what they were doing.
Okay.
Those kids would have heard that tune because it was huge. The original tune was huge.
Gotcha.
So they would have heard that tune. So it was like, sorry, go on.
No, because for me, I grew up in that time. I grew up on your song coming out. I seen your song, Mama used to say, premiere on video. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right, look at this animation. Okay, I see what he's doing. But for us, it was like, okay, sounds of London. Like, what? London? I thought that was from Jamaica. And now you like, all right, wait a minute. Maybe they made a mistake, but I know Jamaican when I hear it. And now y'all had like a mini movement.
An English accent.
Yeah, English accent.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an English accent and that throws people because it's like, well, hold on. How can you sound like the white guy? How does that work? You know what I mean? And you're not falsifying it. You're not trying to be falsifying it.
Right.
You are being you. That's how you speak. When I first came to America, I did Soul Train. And when I got on there, and Don Cornelius turned around and said something to me. I said to him, yeah, right. You know, it's all good. And he was like, what? This guy, where are you from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you from England? Like, yeah. It's like, because, you know, you just don't think, and because of that time, 1981, right? I'm sure in America, the kids weren't being taught anything about England per se in terms of what was happening with Black people in England. You know what I'm saying? None of that was coming from us. We were watching it on TV through what was going on with the riots and what was going on with the fights and everything else. We were watching all of that on our TV. We were watching America go through America's struggle, right? So you have all of that happening and you're having exactly the same struggle, but it's not being pushed in this or not being seen in the same way. But the struggle is everywhere in Europe where Black people were. The struggle was the same. Yeah. So it was, you know what I'm saying? So when I went to and I saw that, like, oh my gosh, right? This projection that they showed you, Junior, You know, it was complete and utter rubbish, mate. Right? This is the real.
He said utter
real.
rubbish. And you know what? I've always thought about, like, you know, the accent and how it translates to music, even to acting, even like with Idris Elba. You know, when he's acting, you don't know he has the accent. You know, same thing when you were singing. Like, how do you do that? Like, what is it, an intention? Do you practice or rehearse, or is it automatically, it just happens that way?
I think because you've been able to mix and blend. So you've been able to mix with different people. You've been able to blend, right? And that becomes you. You're a mix and a blend of your environment, of your whole being. So if you take that on board, then naturally you're going to come out with you. So when Idris does what he does, it's natural to him. I'm sure he's most probably worked on it as an art form, but it's natural to him because it's part of the things where his different colorations have come into his life. You know, it's like if you make music, if you continue to make music in just one way, then your coloration just dies out because you're not allowing any more fruits. You're not going into the garden and planting and looking for something else that can marry, that can come out.
Bars. Yeah, there you go.
That's amazing. Pretty much what it is, you know?
I love that.
I think that's where we in England were very fortunate because of the fact that we were hearing on the radio rock and roll, pop, R&B.
Right,
we had
right.
A whole thing of music. It was like a melting pot of music that we were hearing. So the bands that were coming out were doing the same thing and were interested in jazz funk, were interested. Level 42 was very big at the time, a jazz funk band. And that all came out of Grover Washington and Bob James and that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That the inspiration was always coming from where America was at, but it was being transmitted now to these kids in their own environment. And they were just flushing it out with a mixture of stuff. Asian.
That is amazing.
Asian, Jamaican. It would be a mixture of stuff, and African. You know, let's not forget Azibiza, you know, who came out with Shout. They were one of the first to show that side of Britain where it was that mixture. Because they had Jamaican people in the band. Who was it? Antiguan in the band as well. So they were a mixture of Caribbean, you know, and they were also forwarded by an African. So, you know, we forget those who went before, but I don't really like that because, you know, they really inspired what came next, me and others.
Okay. And that's pretty awesome. Like you've been inspired, but during that time, you came out against some of the biggest heavyweights of all time. You came out against, you know, Mike, like the Mike. You came out against Prince. You know, people that go by one name. When you got one name, it's like rough. Like Prince. And you stood right next to him. So now
you did
that pressure to stand there, because I'm just being honest. I don't know who influenced who, because I saw you with the suit on. I saw you with the suit. And you were showing the socks. So I don't know.
He had the did you see on the video? He had the little bop like this. Yeah, I saw it.
I don't know who came first.
I'll give you a little story with that. I did a show with Michael Jackson in England, and playing at Wembley Stadium.
Woo!
And
man.
Backstage, so he asked one of his people to come and knock at the door and ask if I was there. He wanted to meet me. So I went to meet him, and we stood up, and he was saying, "Man, I love Mommy used to say, and I even stole some of your moves." So I laughed, and I said to him, I laughed, and I said,
"You heard it on KROSS BARZ."
You did what? I said to him, I laughed. No, I laughed, and I just said, "Yeah, you did what?" And he laughed, and he said, "Yeah, man, I stole some of your moves." It was all good, though.
Bars. I love that. Yes, Junior. Yes. So you are the true, Britain's first R&B king. Let's go to give it up. Can we say that? Can we say that?
Yes,
R&B king.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh man,
Absolutely.
But I was able to pick that up, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask, because I was like, I wasn't sure if you influenced, because I know the time period, because I was super young, and I was like, wait a minute, I see some, and just keeping it real. We always imitate things that we admire, and and then on top of that, we get inspiration from our environment. So if you see something, you're like, oh, that's cool. So and for me,
it inspires.
I always love, like, because the area I grew up, in New Jersey. We had a melting pot of so many people from different places. So when some people come from out of, let's say from Puerto Rico, or they came from Jamaica, Haiti, and then we just thought it was just Jamaica. We didn't realize there's a bunch of islands down there. Somebody,
but that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
The history, not my mother was a Garveyite, Marcus Garvey. So her aunt used to take her to Marcus Garvey meetings. So my mom was very much aware of who she was as a black woman having to live in a white society, and how to keep these 8 kids that she had on track. So we all had a presence about who we were, which made it difficult, because you weren't going to run accordingly without pretty much understanding where the narrative was coming from. So you would be looked upon as being difficult, but you weren't. You were just saying, where you're coming from with your narrative doesn't make sense to my being at the present moment. So what are you saying?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So that's where my mother was coming from. My mother was very much like that. She needed to understand, because she had these kids and she didn't want them to have any kind of mindset to say that they can't achieve anything that they set their minds to try and achieve.
Absolutely.
Her whole thing was to make sure that you understood that there are obstacles, not there will be. There are.
There are.
Okay.
Right?
So,
and narrow that down.
Okay.
So
my question, when did you just started doing music? Because you worked at a shoe shop. Mom giving you saying your family moved from Jamaica, then they went to England, then they said, all right, you dropped down in around 78, 79 to America. When did you say, by golly, I'm going to be a musician?
I'm going to do this. I was about 15, just leaving school. And I was thinking about, what do I want to do? Right? As I said, that time with my mom and dad. So I had some friends, and they used to come around and we used to jam together, Alan Weeks and David. And we used to just jam. And we were 15, 16, 17, and just starting to understand music, really. But I really got thrown in. I loved it and really wanted to go further. So I had some friends, and we used to rehearse at home, and then we would go to various pubs, which you would call bars in America. And we would go to these pubs, and there would be a guy who played piano, and we'd just go in and give him some songs, and he'd play piano and we'd sing. And we did talent contests, and we started to win these talent contests. So then I went to college, 16, 17, and met some musicians who play. So I had a place where I knew where we could rehearse. So we got together and we started rehearsing. And one of them, David Day, he started to teach me how to play piano and stuff like that. So that's how I started to understand a bit more. Started to write songs for this little band that we had. And that again started me on that journey of wanting to know more. And so then we started going out. We found ourselves a manager, and we would go out on the road and we would play little clubs where nobody wanted to hear what we were doing, because we weren't doing covers. We weren't doing covers. We were doing original songs that we were writing.
Gotcha.
So you know, so it was difficult, but it was so much fun because you would play certain places and the feedback would never be initial. You'd never get that. Feedback would be when you're leaving the club or when you're walking through the club and somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, yeah, man.
Like it was a secret or something, like you did good. You want to tell you out loud.
You don't want to tell nobody that you checked for it, but you know, I'm going to let you know.
Right. So how do you keep going when people are not, you know, giving you that applause? Like, how do you guys, you know, keep saying, you know, we're going to do this again. We're going to go back out again tomorrow. You know, we're going to sing another one of our songs. You know, what made you not give in, even though you weren't getting, the outside, accolades?
Young and mad. Young and mad.
Mad. Vivid.
If I had any sense, we would have switched a long time ago. I'm only joking. I think maybe what it was, to be honest, I think what it was that we wanted to prove a point at the time because everybody else was playing jazz funk. And we wanted to play something that came from England, that was American, that was us. And that was, to us, that was rock funk. So my group was like a 3-piece rock funk band. And I was into Hendrix and I was watching the Hendrix and I'm like, I'm loving that too. So why can't we do something like that? Build something.
Good deal.
Something different. Absolutely. Not what everybody else is doing. So by the time I got to Mama Used to Say, I found my difference. It was that journey to that song being that thing, the definitive journey to there, as Mama used to say, all of that time of what you were learning, what you was experiencing, playing to one guy who's drunk and the other one who's doped up in the corner for 45 minutes and doing a show to that one guy who's there dancing like he's out of his head. Done it all, man.
Man, that's great. And you got to keep it moving. Absolutely. Yeah. You were, oh, sorry, go ahead. You going to say something? I'm sorry. No, I was saying you were with a lot of, you were with several different record companies after you guys did, and you did get on when you were with yourself. You're with several record companies, I think Mercury and London Records and MCA. When you look at, the England versus the United States, was there a difference in how you were treated with the record companies or how you were marketed?
Big difference in terms of how you were marketed, because in the time of Mama Used to Say, there was very few Black artists in England that English companies knew who to market to. They didn't even know the audience that was buying this music. So it was incredibly difficult. They were still marketing you like if you were a white pop act. So they would, when you started out, the marketing budget that they would give you would be like pennies in comparison to what your white counterpart would get. So it would be nickel and dimes in comparison. Yeah. So you then have success and your record takes off, but they still don't know where it's hitting, why it's hitting. They don't know who to market it to. But they could take another band, I won't name their names, but they can take them who they know where the audience is. They know it's a college audience. They've done their whole thing. See that. They were behind in so many ways in the UK with how they marketed. How they promoted us was even worse because it was the promoting. It was even worse. The way we were promoted to fail. So you weren't promoted to have more success. You were promoted to fail. So the whole thing was to highlight you. It's like, say, putting you on 2 boxes and then you kick one away. So you're struggling on one.
Right.
That's what they did. So you never had the pillars so that everybody was standing on top of everybody. So we held down something strong. They didn't do that. They made sure that was always kicked away. So when my success happened outside of England. So one of the first to actually break outside the country and then have the record come back into the country. So on the basis of that, they now didn't know what to do because they couldn't promote the record to be a success. The record's gone away, the record's been re-released, and they still don't know who they're marketing to other than trying to get it on commercial Radio 1. Not understanding there was a whole marketplace on the underground, just like when hip hop started, on the underground, that they weren't prepared to come and see because it would be in black areas and they didn't want to come in. But they wanted you to go into the white area. So you sophisticate your music to ensure its success within the white market, which is a recipe for disaster.
Right, you watering yourself down. Like, that's not who I am, but I need to make some money, but I don't want to do that. Right.
I ain't doing that. So you had, that was very much how it was during that 80s. When I came to America and I saw the way that you were promoted, the way that the promotion was looking at the next project, looking at the next thing for you. In terms of the marketing to get it across, because of how huge America is, to get it across on the ground to the right areas, for them to start playing your record, for them to start getting into your video and then passing that through. It was a whole education when I first came to America.
They had to learn backwards.
Yeah.
You know, how to do it. They had to learn backwards. I hear you. And you keep going on and, you know, you have several albums that you put out, and it's funny because over here, I didn't hear much of the other, you know, music that you put out after the fact. So we know Mama used to say, you know, and until you actually have to seek it, you know, and go find it, then you would be able to find that, you know, other information. So you have a fan base. So do you see that your fan base here in the United States is just, oh, Mama used to say, you know, or do they know more of your music? Because I know I've seen that you work with, you know, other, you know, American artists. But how do they pick up your music when we don't really hear it if they don't play it on the radio?
Well, this is it, really. A lot of the time it's how things are. If your records aren't being played on the radio, then people think that maybe your records don't sell. I sell my records from my website. I you know, put my music up on my website and do it from my website. And I'm very comfortable doing that. I play live here in the UK. I play live in Europe. So I'm happy with how things have developed. I'd love to come to America, but it just depends on how that works. But it's, you know, I form still, as you said, you saw, I still enjoy that. Mama used to say being, put it this way, how many American acts can turn around and say that they've made just one record that pretty much everybody in America knows? And all you have to say is Mama used to say.
Yeah, that's that. Absolutely. And in 2020, you had a new album that came out, the Everything Set. Everything Set. So that's your latest music, and that particular album was dedicated to your daughter who had multiple sclerosis, who passed away, with your wife who also had multiple sclerosis and passed away. So that, you know, is a lot of, you know, energy and a lot of emotions that you're putting into that album. So can you just tell us a little bit about, you know, making that album and the dedication to, you know, your daughter with that?
My daughter always wanted me to make an album of songs that were successful around the world that I'd done, but do it in a reggae style and do it duets. But I never bothered with it. I'd always poo-poo it and say I'm sticking with where I'm going. And unfortunately, when just before she passed, I decided that I would do it. And I took her and the rest of the family, we went to Jamaica and I met up with Luciano. And I asked Luciano if he would do the track with me. So we went in and we did Mama Used to Say, right? And
I love it.
I got hold of Stephen Marley and asked Stephen if he would do it. And he said yes. And So we did a version of Mama as well. And
I
then I
love
got Tabby Diamond from the Mighty Diamonds, right? And we did Too Late together, right?
Yeah.
And the Mighty Diamonds was Pastor Country on the left-hand side.
Oh, that's who they are?
That's who they are.
Okay, say that again. I didn't hear what you said. He said the Mighty Diamonds are what?
The Mighty Diamonds were the ones who did the original.
Pastor Country on the left-hand side.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
So
that's great. That's great. Okay.
So I did a track with him as well. We did Too Late together on that as well. And then
Yeah.
I used, I had some English singers, Carol Thompson, she did Morning Will Come with me. And Carol did, so Janet Kay did Morning Will Come. And Carol did, we did another one with Carol, but who else? Who else was on there? There's about 4 other people, and then I can't remember them right now. Sorry.
Nah, that was good. That was good.
Pinky
that
Famous,
was great.
right? Fabulous Pinky Famous. They're on it as well. They're 2 new artists that like I'd seen. Pinky I saw in Jamaica. She's a great little rapper, and I just loved the whole name, Pinky Famous. You know, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And Fabulous, right? You know, I knew from England. Right, and he came in and he did a rap on the communication breakdown for me, which is, you know, on point for me. So
I love it.
The whole project was like in her honor, and it was something that I was. It took about 2 years to actually complete, but and during that period of time, unfortunately, she passed, so she never ever got to hear the finished product. But it was something that was like a labor of love. There was so much that like came out of that experience with her, and then to be able to, if you like, flush out your feelings within that album, right, as a tribute to her and what she did for me, you know, in terms of making me a better person and a better man through having to deal with the adversity of an illness that many of us have to sometimes deal with, that we don't like. It's like, you know, so, but it was a great, and I'm really proud of this album. Everything said, well proud.
Yeah.
So for me, you know, listening to your journey, and you work with so many different artists, were the original writer for Mama Used to Say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had done Mama Used to Say it. As I said to you after that meeting with this girl, I can't even remember her name, that's terrible. But after meeting her, and coming home, I went back to work the next day and I wrote Mama Used to Say the next day.
Okay.
And then
that's great.
Got together with Bob Carter and we started to do the arrangements.
Okay. And because, you know, so many people have sampled it and parts of it, I'm like, you know, are you getting your paper from it? That's the most important part.
Well, I again, when you go through this business and you learn, right? So I read Ray Charles's book, and then I met Stevie Wonder. And when I realized that these 2 men, what they had done, I came back to England and I turned around, and after my contract finished for my publishing, I just took everything back and I own everything that I have. So I learned, so I learned from them to ensure what you're doing, right? You know, the recording rights, basically, they have for perpetuity, so you can't really do it. But if you have a clause whereby you're able to say, if you want to use that recording, you have to come to me. Then you dictate how many times that can go out to work.
Right. Put it in writing. Put it down in writing. Yes. Yeah. So people can't say, I don't remember you said that.
No.
You're like, go read the contract. Go back and read that contract again. We're not saying that.
You know, so you have that situation. So whatever it was that I loaned from the record company, I've paid back. So now they have to pay you at the rate that they're supposed to pay you. So again, and that's, so you, as I said, having those two great men being able to, one to read a book and the other to just give me a few things, to give me the idea and the notion that, like, if this is going to be my life, then you have to make sure that you look after yourself.
Right.
And, you know, it's a business, you know, as much as it's a creative scenario, the people behind it that you don't see, it's a business. And, you know, as much as your name may be Junior, and yep, at that time, Prince, Junior, Michael Jackson, yep, everybody's seeing dollars behind those three people. They're not seeing the individuals. Right. They're seeing dollars that these three people can make.
Yeah.
Right? And what scenarios we can put them in. And how can we maneuver mentally to be able to do the things that we want? So you have to, well, for me, I was fortunate because I could come back to England. I could come out of the rat race and not be a part of it all the time. Right. So I had that out. I could come back to England. I could go into Europe. I could do things. I could get back to Jamaica. I could do things without being in that rat race, the first place. And for me, what I was seeing for first place wasn't the place that I wanted to be.
I understand. So my question now becomes, you know, have you been able to live comfortably off of your music versus having to get another job? Because I was sad, you know, maybe 15, 20 years ago, one of my favorite groups ever, Houdini, you know, John Lil, prior to him passing, he had to work as an EMT. And I'm like, how would that be if something happened? And I'm like, oh, is that John Lil from Houdini? Like,
is that Houdini?
Yeah, like,
working on the ambulance, right?
No, that's a shame. I've never done a 9 to 5 job. I've never been. As I said to you, that's what I didn't want to do.
Yeah,
I did it, and I did the shoes. It was that I still doing the band, and I'm not good when people try and tell me what I need to do from what I don't need. I'm just not. Yeah, you know, because that then takes you into places that you really don't want to go, right? Because you're being led, and because people are telling you this is the right way to go, you lose money. So you turn around in an industry whereby you have, Mama used to say, it was one of the biggest records at the time. So the record's blowing up. So you get a phone call from the record company. If you take 4 cents off of what you're getting for publishing, we will be able to sell it cheaper. Yeah, great. So what about me? Well, you'll be able to sell more records. Yeah, but at what rate? Right. Yeah, but if you do that, no, I tell you what, I'll stick with my 4% on my publishing. You sell your records at the rate that you're selling it at. I ain't gonna make no money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make money off of publishing. Right? So you keep that. It's okay.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So the fast buck, which is what they thought that all of us was after. They caught you with fast buck. Give me, hey man, you know, 10 grand, hold that. 20 grand, hold that. Hey man, it's great, it's 50 grand. And you're jumping up and down. You ain't never seen 10, 20, 50 grand. Legit like that.
Right.
You're taking,
you gotta look over your back, right?
Right. You get me? So you know, so you're off and running. And as I said, they know this. So when you turn and you say that you want to own your own thing, everybody's trying to buy it. But you turn and you say that it's worth more than the money because it's going to be your legacy. You have children, you have grandchildren. A couple of my children work in the industry and they're in publishing, so they understand what publishing is and what that company could become if they choose to take it on. Why would I not want to leave that? Why would I want your money? For what? For what? What for? What? A big house and a car and some jewelry and
Hey, you need to
before.
teach
And
a
that's it.
lesson on that, because now they like, just give me the money. We worry about the lady. You want me to do what? Sure, I'll do that. Now
Come on,
you sold your soul, and now you're
vanity.
looking crazy, and you got problems,
Yeah.
and your mind is not clear. Yeah, that's a
not
lot of other
clear.
things that go with that. Right.
You know, Biggie said it well, more money, more problems. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Fact.
Absolutely.
You
Right.
understand, right? So you really do have to be aware of what you're in. And you have a family. And, you know, the guy standing next to you has one, yes, but you have a family and you have a responsibility, right? First and foremost, without there being any question, to that family. And I had 2 kids at that time, and there was no way I was going to make movements on the basis of being perceived as a star that would put them in any kind of jeopardy. My oldest son, when he was 2, I missed his birthday. And I promised myself I would never, ever miss any of their birthdays. And from he's 2, and that's 40, blah, blah, blah years now.
Tell the age. We was counting. We were ready. We was like,
On. Right?
Yeah.
I never missed a birthday. I realized that what was important to me, right, wasn't trying to climb this invisible ladder to this invisible tower, to this invisible, incredible, wow, supposedly life. Like, I realized that my journey was to ensure that my family were on a journey that was good, that they had a granddad or they had a dad that did something that they could raise their head up high on, right? And know that this little man wasn't being taken in. This little man came from somewhere that was slightly different and had a different mentality that he wants all of you to have, right? Spread it.
Right.
Spread it. You know, allow yourselves to understand the the vanities, the trinkets of life are exactly that. An award is what it is. You know, it's an award and it's great to get one. But what is it really? What is it really? Would you miss your mother? Would you miss your mother's birthday because you were gonna be given a Grammy? What's more important? What, having a Grammy and then maybe getting $10,000, $20,000 more on whatever you do, or your mother who brought you up from nothing?
Well, just bring her to the Grammys with you. Look, bring her to the Grammys and she can have a birthday and you can get the award.
Yeah.
There you go. You can do that.
She can't move. She can't
move. Okay, that's a whole other story now.
Right. Well, you see where I'm coming from. That's me. I'd rather be with her, and I watch the Grammys with her.
Absolutely.
Because you're still gonna get it. Because if you got it, you got it. Right.
Absolutely.
If it's yours, it's yours. Right.
Absolutely. So we play this game, all right, where I ask you some questions, right?
Okay.
You can say one or the other, or you can say both, or even neither. All right. So let me give you an example. Would you like hamburgers or hot dogs?
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs. Okay. So you know how to do it. All right. So I have some hard ones, some easy ones. So let's start with some easy ones. Fish and chips or beef patty with cocoa bread?
Boy, beef patty and cocoa bread every time.
I was about to say that.
I know,
love a good beef patty, man.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
all right.
Lord.
Okay. Okay. All right. So look. Then we go a little bit more. Boys in the Hood as a movie. Boys in the Hood or Top Boy?
Boys in the Hood, because Top Boy couldn't have been Top Boy without Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. Hey.
Okay. All right. Okay, see where you was at. Okay, I heard something. Listen to you saying. Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles?
Both.
Ah,
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good
Okay.
answer.
All right. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Oh no.
Oh yeah, he
Both.
wrote it in.
Both.
Both. Okay. All right. Okay. Paul Simon or Paul McCartney?
Ooh,
Ooh,
ooh, that's good. There we go.
that's good. That's good. I'm gonna go McCartney though.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And I tell you why McCartney had a record out. I don't know if it was ever as big in America, but it was called Molluck Tie. And this song stayed at #1 for 3 months. Right? Just everybody, Molluck Tie. That song, Paul Simon, of course, Garfunkel and Simon. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? We could go on with them. But I'm gonna go with the homeboys, the Beatles, and Paul McCartney.
He said the homeboy,
The Liverpudlians.
Look, got a little different one. Okay. You go with Sade or Adele?
Sade.
Okay.
Sade.
Okay.
Sade, the original smooth operator.
Yes, she was.
The
Man, she
original.
was.
Okay. Now, I never really did this cross the genres like this, but I'm gonna have to throw you a hard one because you are a musician. All right. Bob Marley or Marvin Gaye?
Oh,
Ooh.
oh,
He almost passed out. Oh, you can't do that to him, Mo. You can't do that to him, Mo.
oh, you know now this is unfair.
Yeah.
This is unfair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't go between either one.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Good answer. Play it safe. Good answer.
Bob Marley, when he was in England, right? My brothers knew him from Jamaica. So I would go to where they were and watch the Wailers rehearse. This is as a little boy, right? Bob Marley. Then years on, he played Hammersmith Odeon and he remembered. And when they did the One Love video, they asked me to be in the One Love video.
What?
Yeah, I was in that video. It's one of the biggest and one of the things that I really his face.
Wow. History.
He goes,
Right?
whoa. So that was Bob Marley. Marvin Gaye. I went to the Royal Albert Hall in England. He was playing in England. Me and a friend of mine were running because we were late and he was supposed to be on at 8 o'clock and we're like 10 past 8. Standing outside Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye's having a cigarette. He's smoking. And we walked up and I didn't know what to say. So my friend said to him, hey, you're Marvin Gaye. So he said, yeah, man. Real stuff. Yeah, man. So we're like, you're supposed to be inside. Mommy's like, wow, man. I had no idea how big I am here. What's your name? So Trevor said Trevor, and I said Junior. They said Junior. So I said, yeah. He said, oh, I know a whole heap of Junior, man. Right? And we started to have this conversation outside before his gig. My friend Trevor turned and said to him, don't you think you need to go back inside? And he said, yeah, hold on. And he put his cigarette down. One of my greatest moments.
Wow.
You asked me about those two guys, right? And expect me to turn around and say one or the other. Hell no.
That's a both. Okay, I got him a couple of times. Okay. This one. You know, I think this one is an easy one. I'm gonna throw you an easy one now. Okay. Tea or coffee?
Oh, for me.
Okay.
Tea for two.
Yeah. I thought you was gonna, be like, all right.
Sport. I think I got a good voice. Can I get a sport or tea, please? Was that pretty good?
That's the one. Your English is good.
Oh, didn't like it.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
Okay. Here we go. Trenton or Flatbush?
boy, I'm going for Flatbush, you know. Flatbush was,
all right.
yeah, Flatbush. Flatbush was an education, man.
Okay.
Shout out to
Deep
Absolutely.
down,
Brooklyn.
I kind of know, right? I kind of know that, but
Okay.
Flatbush was an education, yeah. Flatbush.
All right. And let me give something a little for back home, you know, see what your knowledge of this sport is. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Messi.
Messi. You
Messi.
have a name like that. Come
Yeah,
on. The guy's name alone tells you.
Messi.
Is Messi.
Messi.
Got you.
I love it.
Yeah. And yeah, now we're in on that one because that was the one I was like, let me see what his sports knowledge is, you know, because most people, you know, who know Flash, Ronaldo, but people who know the sport, they go Messi. All right, absolutely. I thought those couple of them would bang you up. At first, I was like, you know, did you know Sade? You know, because Sade was huge in England. And some people, because of her longevity, some people say, "No, Adele's the big." I was like, "Yeah, I forgot that lady Sade over there."
Yeah,
I think you see, to me, right? I'm not a fan of Adele. I don't find her songs that great, but I know that the world does, and that's great. But for me, Sade had something different, something sexual, something sensual, something
very sensual.
That said a lot about Black women and women of color too, in terms of not kneeling, not bowing. She was a queen, and I think that, you know, with Adele, I think Adele is kind of like we used to have a singer in England, and her name was Dusty Springfield. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
No.
But she was in the 60s. Dusty Springfield had her own show on TV. She was a big artist in the UK, but she was the first one to bring over like Smokey and the Miracles, the Temptations, the Four Tops. She would bring them in to perform on her show, and Adele is like a modern day Dusty Springfield. So,
okay.
You know, if Adele had a show, she would be bringing on the new hip hop artists. She would be bringing on people like that, which is the same thing that Dusty did. But we didn't have those artists, so she would import them, bring them in, so that we would see them on British TV. Otherwise, we wouldn't get a chance to see the Temptations.
Yeah.
Or Smokey Robinson. That whole Motown, right? She was the one that brought it, and Adele reminds me of that. So it's a bit like, I've seen the original, I don't need to see.
Gotcha.
I love it. I love that.
Question. If there is a, like, you know, an opportunity, what artist, a current artist that is, would you really want to work with? Like, you look at their style and say, I really like what they're doing. What current artist would you want to work with?
Wow. I've been fortunate to work with a few. So current artists, I'm not sure, because I've everybody that I've been listening to seems to not have that original spark. I'm sorry, but they are derivative, and they're not really giving that real American, this is me style anymore. It's more like, this is what the factory needs.
This is what they want. This is what they pushing.
So I'm not feeling it.
I love that.
I'm not feeling it being real, so I'm not sure I want to get it.
Okay.
I like that. He said a derivative. He said it's a derivative.
Yeah, like somebody's like somebody else. But from my era, I could say that originality would be like Erykah Badu. I think her style is original.
But then Erykah Badu, look, what are we talking about? How many years ago were we saying with Eric?
Yeah, like, okay, within the last 20. Let's do that.
Right. See, you get what I'm saying? So,
got you.
Because I'm not, it's a little while, just a little while.
Yeah, you're right.
Gotcha.
You know, you say like Jill Scott. You know,
that's what I was going to say next.
I'd love to do something with Jill Scott. You get what I'm
saying? But that's not current. You're right.
You get what I'm saying? Because That's real.
You can make it
Those
current. You
girls
can
are
make
real.
it current. You can make it current.
What about Snow
Make
Allegra?
it current, I'm sure.
Snow Allegra, I really like her remake of Do for Love. I really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, that was good. That is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
it's a remake, like you said, a derivative, but you know, but she's her own, I heard it, but she's her own lane though.
Correct.
Yeah.
I like Snow Allegra. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And I can get you in this conversation. So me and us amateurs, me and some of our friends, all right, us amateurs, we were having a conversation about best remakes of all time. Right. And we had the top 5. Now I'm gonna give you my top 5. I think my top 5 can never be beat. Never be beat.
He always thinks he got the best everything, Mr. Junior.
I hear you, girl.
So I have Betcha by Golly Why by Phyllis Hyman.
Oh, that's lovely.
Okay. Always and Forever, Luther Vandross.
Killer.
Sexual Healing, Marvin Gaye. Do for Love, Snow Allegra. And 5th was, what was the 5th one? No, I forget my 5th one, but I put an honorable mention. It was Vanessa Williams, Work to Do. All right. So which one? Like those are my 5. Really 4, but my 5. What would be your top? You don't have to go 5. Let's go 3. Top 3 remakes of all time.
Remakes. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a.
I had to jot some stuff down.
That's you got me there. Remakes of all time.
Yeah, because we were having this debate, and I didn't know Sexual Healing was a remake. That messed me up. That's why I had to cue.
I was going to ask you that when you said it. I'm like, who did it over? Who
did that?
I forget, because we were looking it up, and I was like, that's impossible. And that's why I keep one of mine out, because Sexual Healing has to go in there. Sexual Healing was a remake. I knew that, like the other ones I knew, like Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman was the stylistic, Betcha by Golly Why.
Well, yeah.
The stylistics. Always and Forever was Dionne Warwick. Luther Vandross did the remake from Dionne
Warwick. Wasn't Always and Forever Heat Wave?
No.
Heat Wave.
Which one am I talking about then? No, I apologize. Yes, you're right. Yeah. No, I'm talking about, what is it? House Is Not a Home. Excuse me. Apologies. House Is Not a Home is Dionne Warwick. That's the one I meant. I got him wrong.
Yeah.
House Is Not a Home, Dionne Warwick, but that's the one I meant. And for Luther Vandross.
Oh yeah.
House Is Not a Home.
Yeah.
Then Slow Allegra. What is it? He just passed away. Bobby Caldwell. Do for Love. And Snow Allegra remade it by Caldwell. And I forget Work to Do. I forget Jimmy something. I got work to do. Work to do. But that was Vanessa Williams. But it was one that was above that one. I forget my 5th one. But I had that as an honorable.
So you're asking him for his 3
top 3 remakes.
Or top 3 remakes, or just top 3 songs?
No, remakes. No, that
he said
top
3 songs. I can hit that, but top 3 remakes.
Wait a minute, you could do top 3 songs of all time, easy.
For myself, yeah.
For him.
Whoa, yeah. That was way too. I wouldn't ask that. I thought that would be way too.
My top 3 right now in this conversation would be Billie Holiday.
Strange Fruit.
Thank you. It would be Marvin, right? And it would be Nat King Cole.
Nat King Cole. So Billie Holiday.
Nat King Cole.
Okay. Oh, wait. Hold on, brother. Hold on. That's the artist. What about the song?
Make sure he's sitting in the middle of the camera.
Now, okay. With Marvin, the song would be Trouble Man.
Over Inner City Blues?
This is
his choice. This is his choice.
I think that whole groove and vibe of Trouble Man. It takes me right back to like I'm in Flatbush, I'm walking down, I'm going down to go eat some food. It just sums up the whole of New York right there for me. I could be in the Bronx. I hear Trouble Man, and that's me.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
there. Gotta love.
Yeah,
That's good.
gotta love it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Strange Fruit, you don't have to say anything.
Yeah, that's just that. Yeah, got you. But you know what? I love Strange Fruit, but I love Nina Simone's version.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I like the original.
I like the original.
I got you.
Original. Yeah. She captured that, man.
She did.
She captured that. She made every one of us. Look how many years down the road and we're still talking about that song.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And that King Cole, which one?
That King Cole. Which one would you go for? My sister has a love for Nat King Cole. That's why I can't. I'm sitting there wanting to choose one. Janet would have done it. I can't sit here and choose one. I have a love for him. Every time I'm with her, all she plays is Nat King Cole.
Okay.
Love the voice.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to choose a song. No, I'm not going to choose it.
Yeah, anything Nat. I got you.
Everything he does.
Gotcha.
You sit down and you think. You sit down and you think about Nat King Cole, and everybody will have a song. They can all come up with a song. But if you listen to Nat King Cole all the way, there isn't one song. There is so.
Yeah, he had Unforgettable. He had
come on,
a song called Smile. He had a song called. I mean, he had a lot. Way before my time when I like him, Love, and a couple of them.
One of the masters that we all kind of learned from or all listened to at some stage. You know, I can remember Stevie Wonder saying he listened to something that I had done and he laughed and he said to me, I stole that from this guy and this guy stole that from and all it was a lick, just a little lick. And he knew that I stole that from him and he could tell me where he said he stole it from a guy.
Hey, that's wow.
And that was just a little
wow. That's music. That is like the ear of you gotta hear.
They hear it and they know. And you know what that's why I said with a Nat King Cole, it's not about the song. The voice was just magic. It was like Luther, you could learn, you know, Luther was the next one. It was just magic.
Yeah.
You know, and it was effortless, it was smooth, it just touched, you know, and I think every generation should have one. One of those vocalists.
You know, it hurts, you know, where we're talking about musicians and their musicianship and their art and craft, and we respect all of them. And I don't understand where, like, for instance, a new age artist actually, like, literally, I don't have to put down one to appreciate the other. I can appreciate both of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand this thing where this artist, I don't want to say his name, but he actually said, well, Luther really can't sing compared to Charlie Wilson. And I said, you know, that's a preference. But I was like, yo, you could just say Charlie Wilson could sing. I like him better than Luther. You didn't have to say, well, you know, Luther is that. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, that's the right choice. Like,
everybody.
I think you just got to be able to appreciate music. It isn't really about who's better.
Period. Right. You know, everybody has a preference. Yeah.
Of course, music has to be that. It has to be subjective. You can say that, like, I would turn and say to you that I don't think David Bowie was a great singer. People turn around and say to me, no, you can't say that because David Bowie's song. Yeah, but I don't think that he was a great singer. Now, I think Mahalia Jackson was a great singer. They're completely two different things. He sings in pop. So I think he's a great pop singer and it works. Mick Jagger, a great pop singer and it works. All of these old stallions, they're great. But you can't put that against the real thing. Come on. So you can't look at Charlie Wilson and say, Charlie Wilson is like, you know, is better than Luther, because Charlie Wilson was coming behind Stevie Wonder.
Right.
So, and if you listen to early Charlie Wilson rap band stuff, right, and then listen to Stevie Wonder, you'll hear that Charlie was listening to Stevie.
Right. He influenced
the way that his voice and the inflections and stuff like this. And then he's grown into Charlie Wilson.
Correct.
But he had a voice that he was listening to that was inspiring him all the way going along.
Yeah.
But if you're not listening and you're not understanding the various voices, it's like there is no Gladys Knight other than Gladys Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because nobody can sing like how Gladys can. There is no Patti
She's
LaBelle.
in her lane, right.
There is no
Exactly.
Patti LaBelle like
That's one of the remakes that was in my top 10. Her remake of what's her man, Makings of You, on the Claudine soundtrack, Makings of You. And what's the man, not Isaac Hayes, what's my man name? Curtis Mayfield. He was the one. He was the one that did the original. Curtis Mayfield
He did that,
original.
yeah.
And Gladys Knight remade it, and I was just like,
you look again, it's that whole thing. It's that whole thing of saying that to be able to do what you're doing, you have to understand the music, where it's coming from, right? So if you're gonna do a funk track, right, and your impression of it is what's happened in the last, say, 20 years, then you're not really gonna make a funk record, because you have to go all the way back to slide. You have to go back to the Eaters. You have to go back to Mandrill. You have to go back to these.
Mandrill.
He said Mandrill. He said Mandrill.
You have to go back to these bands. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Fully understand where the funk
study, right? The original work.
Like I said, it's a journey. You go along and you're learning all the time. So if you come into, like, say, the 2000s and let's say the Teddy Riley era. So Teddy comes along, Teddy kills everybody with swing, right? The whole nation. And then we have three competitors out there. We have Jam and Lewis, right? We have Teddy, and then we have LA and Face. Yeah. So you had three different styles coming from maybe 50 different acts.
Right, in three regions, yeah. You got the West Coast with Jimmy Jam Terry, you just said that. You said LA LaFace was in the South.
The South.
And Teddy Riley was in the North. Okay.
East. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He got it. But that's the way it should be. Everything should come from somebody. You should study that. Everything is a derivative, like you said. That word keeps coming back to me, of something. And I think I heard Erykah Badu say she was on a talk show the other day, and she said, I have my grandmother, but my mother was a better version of my grandma, and I am a better version of my mom, and my daughter's a better version of me, and you're supposed to keep improving that thing.
Exactly.
You got the essence. It's still what it is.
It's
you still want to take
is.
the spirit of it, but
there
you want to
go.
enhance it and change it up a little bit. So she said that, and I'm like, I dig it.
I dig it forward. Otherwise, you're stagnant. You're going to stay right where you are, right? Because you're not sharing that goodness that you've been given to enlighten it to get better. So
that's right.
You're making each generation stronger, because the roots of the foundation, right, is there. It's been rooted. You're not moving from it. It's like we as a people like to move and say, like, oh boy, you know what, we're not going to eat this anymore. We're not going to eat that anymore. But who's telling you not to eat it? They looking like you. In your adverts, they're not looking like you, but they're telling you not to do that, right? It's just like you have the pillars who give you that, and you stand on, and you grow, and you must do that. We as a people have to do that. We're not getting. It's not like we're not getting any recompense. Nobody's giving anybody any money here. Everybody out here has to struggle and push and do what they need to do to get by. So if we can continue to help one another to push through, right? Continue to grow, right? Then we are functional. We can then move. We can do things and help others and project in the right way for our children. We're not doing enough of that. We're not doing enough.
So question, is your son, is he into music?
No, my son is a football coach, and we have
soccer or football?
Soccer or football, right?
No, soccer. Sorry, soccer.
Okay.
And I have
like football.
One, two, three, four of my grandsons play soccer as well professionally. And
that's great.
the girls do ballet and they're great, you know, and we have another little small addition, Zam, and he's one. So yeah, my family's very nice. I'm well happy.
And I think you have a nephew who's a comedian. I've seen that too. You have a nephew who's a comedian, correct?
That's right. I have a nephew. His name is Richard Blackwood, and he's a comedian, and also he's on Emmerdale, I think it is, one of the Hollyoaks, sorry, one of the TV programs here as well. I have a niece who also, she's into acting. You'll be seeing her soon in the new Bob Marley movie. She's in that, which will be coming out soon. So the family is from I was the first, you know, it's like I was the first one to do it and show that it can be done. And everybody was like, you know what, I'm gonna follow Uncle Junior.
Hey, I love that. That's great. And saying that, do you see yourself moving forward? Do you have any other new projects that you are working on? Have you ever thought about being in film? Are you writing? What do you got going on right now? What do we have
for right now I'm writing. Right now I'm writing for a new album, which I've got 5 weeks from this week. I've got 5 weeks to pretty much go in and start recording some of the songs that I'd actually written before. So we're going to do that. And then I come out and I go on a tour in England called Let's Rock. And that'd be for the next 2 months. It's a festival tour. So I do that, and then I'm in France, and then I come back from France, and then I'm back with a band that I work with called, come on, Junior, Omar and Donnie and myself. We call ourselves the British Collective,
Yeah, the British Collective.
And we're going out towards the back end of the year. We should be out in October, November, December, and playing some dates. So the year's pretty much full, and it's great.
I love it.
Then we're going into next year, and I'll be away for a little while. And, you know, I need to go back home and sit down in some sunshine and eat some good fish.
Man,
yeah, hold on. What is your fish of choice? Salmon, snapper?
No, I like snapper. I like goatfish. I like parrotfish.
You said goat. You said a goatfish.
Yeah, goatfish. Yeah. Yeah, goldfish and parrotfish. Yeah.
Parrotfish and goldfish?
Yeah. You wouldn't believe it.
Is he like hybrid fish, or these like natural fish to the country?
Fish. Natural fish to the country. Yeah, you got to. They're huge.
Wow.
Love it.
That's interesting. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So, Big O, you got anything else for Junior today?
I love talking with him, man. I think me and him, we get in the room, start talking some music, because yeah.
You know we'd be up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I have a new single out. I have a new single that's out at the present moment. It's called Who's Been Schooling You? I did that. I did that with a guy called Walter Chandler, who was part of the Prince setup, and he was the saxophonist. And we got together and we started, because as I said, I wanted to do something which was musically, which was going all the way back and pulling it forward. So because I knew that he knew a lot about that style of music, that old Sly, and as I said, mandrill and that vibe, and I want to bring that vibe to today. We put down like 3-4 tracks. So I'm really excited about what's going to come. I'll have another single most probably out late in the summer, and then hopefully next year we'll drop the album. So things are good. You know, it's just like, I'd love to come to America and play in America, but like, as my mother used to say, everything in time, Judy.
Everything in time.
She ain't saying everything.
KROSS.
Everything in time.
Everything in time.
So for me, I can't have a musician on here and not know that I'm rooted in the funk. You know, where I'm from, Plainfield, New Jersey. You understand that P-Funk stands for Plainfield. You know, home of George Clinton. Yeah, home of George Clinton, home of the P-Funk.
The P-Funk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what
he even got the stank face. He even got the stank face.
I went out and saw in England with a band called Lynx, who were the #1 band in the country, and I was like part of this band. So we were playing, and one of the tracks we would do be Skin Tight, and so as soon as About Parliament Funkadelic, I'm like, oh no, a higher place. Skin tight.
Yes, I love a higher place too. Man, it's
absolutely.
so
Love the
cool.
place.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. It's just so good. This interview, I really, really love it a lot. It's like, you know, it made my spirit feel good. You know what I mean?
Oh.
You have a good energy, you know, with you. It's just something I don't know about this interview that's just, I think I'm just excited because when you like you said, I've never been to England, but to see and speak with people from, you know, that look like us and have all these other experiences, but we never may have seen or may not been a part of it. And we were looking at you one way and you were seeing us another way. You know what I mean? It's just really
It's
good to, you know,
interesting,
that's why you got to travel, man. You got to go out and visit so you can, you know, touch down and, you know, get firsthand, you know, what things, you know, look like and feel like.
For me, it was always great because it was like I would go to different parts of America. And, you know, when you come from England, you don't truly have any conception of how big the United States of America is.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're telling people that, like, you know, you take a red eye, right? You know, from New York over to LA, and it can take 6 hours. 6, 7 hours is how long it takes us to come from England. 8, 9 hours maybe from England to America. You can get there quicker.
Yeah.
But it was showing how vast this country was, right? In England, I can drive from London to Scotland and be there in 6 hours. Wow. I couldn't drive from New York to LA, right? That'd take me a few days, maybe
days,
a week.
Days. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So coming from England, I didn't fully understand just how big. When I went to Texas and I landed in Texas for the first time, and that just blew my head away. The heat, and then just landed like, oh my. I'd never been anywhere in the world like that. You know, the heat. I remember I was in a radio station and they had one of those giant fans. So the fan's going in the studio, and we're trying to have a conversation, and all you could hear.
Yeah, hold your hat too. Yeah.
You get what I mean? But it was like that whole thing of coming and being able to experience it, opposed to watching the TV and that TV saying, "This is America. This is," and I'm going there and I'm like, hell no. These people are living like we're living. You know what I'm saying? We might not be eating the same things, but we're eating the same things. And we may not be saying the same things in the same way, but we're thinking of the
same thing.
You know?
Love that.
Yeah. So as I said, that whole period for me being able to come in and out of America and perform and play during a period of time was fantastic for me. Fantastic.
I thought about a question. It just came back to me. It was a question I wanted to ask. Did you ever think about merchandising? You have your shirts, Mom used to say, like shirts or whatever. Yeah.
We did all of that in the early days when I had there was a Brazilian footballer and his name was Junior. So we took the t-shirts of Brazilian colors. Like Junior.
That'll still work. That'll still work.
Yeah.
That's a good
then
question.
We had little transistors, right? Little small transistors when I had a communication breakdown. And the actual transistor was broken, so it was communication breakdown. But we would give these away and actually, sell these as well. People would buy them for memorabilia. So yeah, in the early days, I did all of that stuff.
Okay, all right.
Love it.
All right, awesome.
I love it. All right, so where can we find you at? I know I heard you on Wednesday. You don't like Twitter. You don't like social media that much. I know you said your website, but where can we find you if we want to find you? You said I don't like Twitter.
I don't like Twitter, so you can get me on juniorgiscombe.co.uk.
There you go.
You can get me on Facebook. Just put in Junior Giscombe and I'll fly out. Same thing with Instagram as well. Junior Giscombe lowercase. You can get me there as well. And I'm good with both of those. I'm just not a fan of the Twitter. There's something not quite right with the Twitter. So.
Agreed. But thank you so much, Mr. Giscombe, for being on Cross Bars, man. We wish you luck in everything that you do. Big O, before you say anything, before I go out, one last thing. Oh, anything? Oh,
nah, it was just a pleasure. I get to, get to speak to one of the legends, somebody who I grew up listening to, and actually I try to imitate. I still think, look, I don't know. I think I could get you a dancer now. Back then I couldn't, but now I think I can get you.
Wait, when I come up, listen. When I come over, I'm gonna teach you.
All right.
Hey, young man, Mama used to say. and the reggae version is so good. The reggae version just gives it a whole nother twist. I love that. Yeah. I love that you guys and Luciano. I'm so glad you guys remade it. It just made it really fresh again. I mean, even if it might be a few years since you did that, it's still really fresh. But we thank you so much. I'm going to tap into what you got going on, and we will definitely Cross Bars keep it posted. But this is Tanae on Cross Bars. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all those other places at our website, www.crossbars.com, and it's KROSSBARZ. That's all we got for y'all. Peace. Love you.